pretty powerful moment from as far as into it, talking about how Kirk tried to reach young men, a lot of young men, with his message. And Tyler Robinson, 22-year-old, was like not too different than the men that Charlie Kirk tried to reach. And then she went on to forgive him, which Donald Trump follows it up. And a lot of people are criticizing Trump for this, but I get what Trump is saying here. To Donald Trump's comment about forgiveness, you have to know what he's doing here. Of course, it's taken out. It's taken out from the
best. That's where I disagree. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I'm interested in demonizing
his entire message and say, well, he has his own views on it. And the way I took it was, he was trying to be funny and cute, and he was essentially saying that that's how remarkable Charlie Kirk was. You had death threats and people saying awful things about him and his family, and you had people who just couldn't stand his face. But still, when you go look at all of Charlie Kirk's interactions with people, he doesn't even like raise his voice. Maybe a little bit here and there, but he doesn't call names. He doesn't ridicule, and there's a lot of these little dorks. Rivera, you've seen enough of these Charlie Kirk videos.
I've seen a lot.
To know that when these people step up to the mic, some of them are absolute mutants.
Oh, they're immediately hostile. They're already...
No. I'm talking about the way they look.
Oh, their appearance, yeah.
Purple hair, they got all like piercing face. Some of them are just slovenly. He always made it about the argument. And I think that's lost with a lot of people, because it's very difficult for a Gen Xer, not to make fun of somebody's haircut, make fun of somebody's face.
Remember his first Republican debate like in 2018?
Checking people all the time. It's just kind of in our DNA as Memphians. So, for me, the guy was always pretty respectful, and there's always going to be a better way to say something than Trump says it.
Of course.
There's always going to be a better way, a more efficient way to say it, a more delicate way to say it. Trump's a bull in a china shop, and people are used to it, so I don't think anybody's really that offended by what he said. Some people are like, man, I wish he would have left it alone, but he said what he said. All right, Rivera, what you got?
Yeah, so continuing with the president, also, this is, to me, the what you were just saying, I don't get how people are so surprised. This is the sort of stuff he's done for like almost 80 years now. So it's the same old. I would expect nothing different. So I don't understand why he has so much blowback for that. But for this, today he came back to the White House. Very busy weekend for him. He's been everywhere. And so he's back in the White House today, and he had this big announcement. Basically during the show, talking about the link between Tylenol and autism. So let's listen to what he has to say. I haven't even heard fully what he had to say about this link. Very interesting.
Effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol. During pregnancy,
that first where you can't pronounce the
I couldn't, whatever drug that Davis Hamilton had on him. Is that the drug guy? Whatever drug he was found, I couldn't pronounce that one. Acetaminophen, though, that's pretty common. Acetaminophen, Tylenol, right? This whole link with Tylenol and autism, I don't know how strong the link is. I don't know if they're like peer-reviewed studies. I think it might be like one study that says there could be some sort of link between women taking Tylenol while pregnant and autistic kids. I don't know. It seems like Tylenol is so commonplace. Tylenol is a go-to. Acetaminophen. I don't see how everybody's not autistic. If there was a link between Tylenol and autism, I think everybody would have autism, because Tylenol is so common. But you know who loves this announcement? The makers of Advil. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Ibuprofen mongers. Those people who go out and sell Aleve and Advil. acetaminophen. I think that Advil is ibuprofen. And there's other NSAIDs that do. I think the difference is, my wife's always telling me, she's like, hey, if you take the ibuprofen, you take it with food, because it'll upset the lining of your stomach if you don't. Now, as far as Tylenol goes, you can take that on an empty stomach. At least what I've been told. The only Tylenol that works for me, though, is the Excedrin, is the acetaminophen with caffeine. That's Excedrin. It's not even Tylenol. It's acetaminophen, but with caffeine. So, don't take Excedrin either. It's acetaminophen.
Yes, sir.
That's the offending agent, so to speak. So again, I don't know if I buy it all, but I still think it's worth listening to Donald Trump trying to say acetaminophen, trying to read acetaminophen. If he had heard it, somebody should have spelled that out phonetically. Acetaminophen.
Minophen.
Pretty great.
Yes. Oh, by the way, I was just reading here. Bridget Macron, is she the first lady of France?
Yeah.
Macron's wife, who's much older than him, says here, God, please no! I pray those photos don't leak. Nobody wants to see Bridget Macron's lady parts. But I guess for my own curiosity, there are other ways she could confirm she's a woman without pictures of her lady parts out there. I mean, couldn't this do like a DNA test? Rivera, a DNA test would show up XX or XY.
Yes,
right?
it would.
And that would be a lot less embarrassing. A lot fewer people would have jokes about it. Oh, alternatively, okay, instead of photos of her lady parts, we could accept either a DNA test or a failed driving test.
Failed driving test?
A failed driving test to prove she's a woman.
Oh my God! It took me a second.
Just snap a screenshot of a failed driving test. I think that would suffice as well.
Pretty sure it's going to be bad anyway because the French drive horribly. I think the French just suck at everything, including driving. It's horrible.
All right, that's hardly the point. All right.
No, I didn't listen to this
very cool. With the University of
Salaki, man. Dealing with, catching hell. So Salaki for that. Jack put some air in the tire and shit. So Salaki. But yeah, y'all just heard what's going on. Dealing with the radio station Edification. So, first and foremost, I continue, to they have urgent and I see the warning. Let me give all praise and honor and glory to Hashem Hawashai, Hashem Hakudash. Want to say double honors to our elders, our great apostles, great millstone, GMS, who rule well and teach well. All right, being a great example to Israel, man, the elect. Want to say peace and blessings to the hope of the elect on the four corner, pursuing the truth and sincerity. All right, that great song is your brother Ba. Like once again, another installment, a radio station, Edification. As you can see, all right, the big old fuss, all right, which one that had been assassinated. But you see that it's coming out, showing you that this nigga still alive. He just ain't in America no more. It's like a lot of stuff just coming out. You got whistleblowers, they all speaking against them. It's a lot. It's a lot of confusion. So we gotta continue to stay focused, continue to, watch well as praying and just continue to measure the time, because we understand that through his power that was given to him, all right, going to his pseudoscience, all right, his power going to his technology, he able to fool a lot of people. AI becoming a new scam in the earth. So we gotta be really tight, nick tight with the prophets, all right, getting the information, the right information that is that. Because a lot of information out here, but the only true information is the information that you get from the prophets, all right, which is the true prophets, a great millstone. A great millstone is the one that really giving you the true information, all right, that's going to lead you and prepare you for the coming and great and dreadful day of Yahweh Shema Shah. All right, the prophets are great millstone, man. Starting with the apostles and the elders on down. We the one that truly giving you information that's going to uphold you, right, first of all, they're going to uphold you. All right, and then they're going to give you the courage, all right, to give you the spirit to keep fighting, the spirit to keep striving, all right, giving you the spirit of comfort, all right, before this hell come. Because one thing about it, whether you believe it or not, whether you got doubt or not, the words of the Lord, all right, is going to stand. All right, and by his words going to stand that what you're going to see in the near future, as in Jacob Trouble, martial law, you know, the FEMA camps. See, this stuff that's already being established, and you can see that when you go on certain outlets dealing with YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you know what I'm saying? Snapchat. See, these are things that's already being shown to let you know, hey, 1443, come by small shot. See, these are things that's already been shown. All right, they're like, damn, they ain't lying. You know, because the prophet's job is to warn you of these evil times that's coming upon the face of the earth. But a lot of people been talking about this lady, you know, C. Kirk, his wife, and how Donald Trump kissing all on her. She laying her head all on him. You know, that's just a fucking act, man. You know, you gotta remember, these Edomites can act a little bit. They ain't the good actors. That's why the shit look all, you know what I'm saying, all dusty. But they can act, and that was a fucking act, man. I'm gonna show this video. And what really caught my eye is the sign that she held up, all right, at the end before this video closed out. And this sign is first of all, it's a wicked ass sign, but it shows they pledge allegiance, all right, to the elites, all right, which is Satan. You know, so let's check this video out real quick. Her fake ass. Her play, hold on. All right, now check this out right here. Let me do this. All right, and let me put this joint on for y'all can hear it. So bear with me. No nigga driving. But it's a shame though. That's why the scriptures say we can't be ignorant to Satan's devices. You know, because if it was possible, all right, then he can deceive the very elect. But the very elect cannot be deceived, right? Because when you go into 2 Thessalonians, what I like to always get to bag this point up, which is actual and factual. All right, if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, and you in tune with the spirit of Yahweh Shemal Shah. This is 2 Thessalonians 2:11, NLT. It says, so that Satan would not outsmart us. All right, and a lot of people is getting outsmarted by this devil and the schemes and the plot that he doing in Babylon the Great to get over. See, a lot of people is being ignorant. All right, but those that's watching, those that measuring the times, those that are looking, those that are hastening, all right, guess what? He cannot outsmart us. He's right. So it says, so that Satan would not outsmart us, for we are familiar with his evil schemes. And once again, how we familiar with the evil schemes of Satan? By listening to the prophets, right? Reading, studying. See, that's how we familiar with the evil schemes of Satan. With Satan go to adversary, we're speaking about the elites, man. All right, the power that be, as the God of this world, have blinded the minds of the people. You see that? But guess what? The elect mind not blinded. We not blinded. We see this devil. All right, the Lord have given us the outside to see this devil, man. All right, and bring out, all right, the shameful spirit to make it more clear to those that in the household of faith, right? So let's get this video, and once again, as the precept said, so that Satan would not outsmart us, but we are familiar with his evil schemes. And schemes going to his devices. And one of his devices is what? The internet. All right, that's one of the same devices, his internet, man. Shalaka. So, get to this video. Now check this out. Only for education purpose use only, for use. Look. Look, y'all see that? Look what she look, you see that?
When he got out of his
what is she holding up?
He was like looking past him when he got close to him.
Alright, what is she holding up? That's a sign of worshiping the devil. Because when you're going to the music industry, you go into the rap music, you go into like the entertainment industry, they do that. They throw them signs up to show their pledge of allegiance to Satan. And here it is, this woman, all right, at her husband's funeral, throw up the same damn sign. You see? Wicked. That's how you know that all this that we see, this back and forth between him getting, assassinated and all this, it's a host. All right? He is being used to bring forth unrighteous laws and legislations. They are being used, man. And we cannot be outsmarted because the Lord has revealed his secrets to his servants, the prophets. And we know what to look out for. You see that? We know how to identify the plots and the schemes of Satan through the scriptures. And now we're seeing that the scriptures is manifesting. What the Lord has said that this devil's going to do, guess what? We're seeing him doing it. You see that? That's how Satan cannot outsmart us. Because we lining things that's happening in world times with the scriptures, man. And that's shit crazy how she able just to throw that sign up like that and fake cry. I know if we was at a real funeral in the world, I know my mama, everybody be like, man, that whole fake as hell. You already know how people is in the world. They'll be talking about her bad. But look who she is. So people are in the mindset of showing sympathy. Getting tricked, bamboozled, hit all across the head. With lies. And the prophets are telling you and warning you, all right, that these things that they being put in place is going to bring more trouble, more chaos, more uproars. All right, let's see that's what they're talking about.
And thus insensitive. Fox's Michelle Polino. At the UN General Assembly, Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the Palestinian statehood right, not a reward. This comes as the UN looks to build support for a two solution to the Hamas-Israel war. Earlier today, French President Emmanuel Macron said France recognized Palestinian statehood. America is listening to Fox News.
Yeah, it's going down dealing with that too. That's how you know that we at the end. All right, because Yahweh Shai was telling the disciples, all right, because they were requiring, all right, they was requiring the end of what it was going to be, right? So let's grab that real quick to show you that we at the end. This is Luke. All right, this is Luke 21 and 8. Because y'all remember at 7 it said they asked him saying, Master, but when shall these things be? What thing that they were saying be? The kingdom of heaven. All right, them receiving everything, all right, that they sacrifice. So when shall these things be? It said, and what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass, right? It says, when he said, take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying that I am Yahweh, the anointed, the Mashiach, and the time drawing near. Go ye therefore not after them. But when you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars or commotions, right? When you shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified. For these things must first come and pass. But the end is not yet by and by. You see that? Because what determines the end? When the missiles get to shooting. But before this, what's going to happen? You're going to hear of wars and rumors of war, commotions. All right? And that's what we heard through the Spirit. We just heard it. We just heard it. Israel against Gaza. This kingdom against kingdom. You got Russia dealing with Iran. It's kingdom against kingdom. All has. There's kingdom against kingdom. Yahweh warned us of these times to further let you know that what time we in. And it says, then said unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And what great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famine, and pestilence, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. Now, 2024, you say 2020, you know, we saw the pestilence, and we ain't gonna say the name, but how the elder said, Ovid, you can put the two together. All right, those signs of pestilence, man, the diseases that they actually put on Jake. And where the fuck did shit come from? The shit came from China, but Jake became the face of it, right? But these are the signs that Yahweh Shai said. All right, when you'll know when I'm coming, when these things start to happen. So guess what? These things are starting to happen. We start to see these things in the earth. We starting to hear these things in the earth. So to let you know what? Yahweh Shai is close. It said, then said unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places. And Eliashah woman did a lesson earlier, right? It said it's been over 5,000 earthquakes in just 2025. 5,000 earthquakes, man. That's the Lord showing his judgment. Going to 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter. Right? So it says, and great earthquakes shall be in famine, and pestilence, and fearful sights. And one fearful sight that we saw was the eclipse. But the other fearful sight is for the wicked, all right, which is those chariots. It said, and great signs shall there be from heaven. See that? Those are great signs. When we see the chariots, remember he said, lift up thy head for thy redemption, what draw not. Those chariots are themselves, man. All right, because what? No matter salvation vehicles, man. That's the only how we getting out this place. All right, so verse 12. And I just stop on that. Before all these things, they shall lay their hands on you, persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues, and into prison, being brought before kings and rulers, for my name's sake, and it's the name of Yahweh Shema Shai, not no damn Jesus. Your ass ain't going nowhere, getting hemmed up or getting bopped across the head, or we're getting put in a concentration camp for no damn Jesus. All right? Because what's going on with this C. Kirk dude? Was he not a believer? You know? Was he not a so-called Christian? And you hear his wife when she did her speech? The Bible said, forgive. So I forgive him. The shit set up. You know, she talking about she forgive the fucking Edomite from killing him. She forgive him. Like, come on, man. Let's see what else they talking about.
Dude, I just don't know how. I don't know how in the forefront children of the corn is with young people these days. It's the first thing I would do is if I had a corn maze and I was in charge of.
They talking about this bullshit ass Halloween, which that's how you know the Christian church off, because them motherfuckers is celebrating Halloween. They celebrate Thanksgiving. They celebrate Christmas. All right? When you go into the scriptures, you can't find one of no wicked ass days in the scriptures. All right? But the Lord do tell you not to keep, not to, matter of fact, I got to get it. Because a lot of people don't even know that's in the Bible. Jeremiah 10:1. In Jeremiah 10:1, it said, hear ye the words which the Lord Yahweh spake unto you, O house of Israel. You think the Lord came down and sat amongst the children of Israel and told them this? No. All right? The Lord sent the prophet to tell you. All right? And it was the prophet Jeremiah. And remember, Jeremiah is a book of what? A prophecy. So it says, thus said the Lord Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathens. You think they bring this precept out of church? You think you're going to hear Jeremiah 10:2 in church? Jeremiah 2 and 2 on down? No, you ain't going to hear this. All right? But the scripture says, thus said the Lord Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathens, and be not dismayed at the signs from heaven. And the sign of heaven is what? The chariots, man. The so-called UFOs, which they are IFOs because they identify as our salvation vehicles. But they the burden of Babylon. You go into with the Isaiah 19, all right, the burden of Babylon. Those the chariots, man. Salaki, y'all ain't heard it. I'm just reading Salaki. So this is Jeremiah 10. For one cut a tree out of the forest, the works of a hand of workman with the axe. And I said, grew up poor. You know, the only one in my family was able to get a real tree with my auntie because she had her husband. Hey, Satan, hey, man. So, you know, y'all brothers to be edified. All right, next time, Shalom. Abba Bob, the Rock Haakim, may the Lord team bless y'all day. I'm going to come back, Lord willing, you know what I'm saying, with another lesson. Shalom.